Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to welcome you all here today. My name's Priscilla Yago Sise. I am one of the co-founders of WAVE-Gambia, that's Women's Association for Women and Victims Empowerment, and I also serve as a senior technical advisor. I'm really honored to welcome each and every one of you today. I recognize the presence of so many distinguished members who are here. Honorable Mbalo from the National Assembly, ASP Camara representing the Gambia Police Force, Office of the IGP. I recognize here Mr. Essa Koka, the Reparations Commission, and also Commissioner Abdumane is here. We also have in our midst representatives from ADRS. We have lawyer the corner over there. We also have Office of National Security, Ministry of Interior. We have the media. We have reps from Team WAVE. We also have here representatives from members of the legal Sect, Kemat Ali. We're expecting others to join us, including representatives from the Office of the Governor, Central River Region. The governor was to be here, but we gather his wife is in hospital, and so he can't come. And also representatives from the community in Kemot Ali, Gambia. Those who are not named, please do not feel any way about it. We recognize all of your presence. We appreciate you, and we thank you for being here. I also thank members of Team WAVE for being here. This gathering, ladies and gentlemen, is important. It's particularly important because collaboration, as we all know, is how peace is built. And we appreciate that you're here with us for the collaboration. In the process, let me also recognize civil society representatives who are here for our other partner civil society organizations, including Fantanka. Let me speak plainly. Doing the right thing will help us get results. And we should be able to do the right thing. Doing the right thing also ultimately ruffles some feathers, but it is what we need to do. We have been guided by the findings and recommendations from the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, where we are informed about justice and accountability, and where we also need to have transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me pause here and recognize the presence of Chief Demba C, who is the chief of Upper Salom coming from JAL, who is here in our midst and is also representing Ministry of Local Government and Lands in a way, and also the Office of the Governor, Upper River, Central River Region. So as we try to seek results and outputs, Ministry of Local Government and Lands, we recognize you, Deputy Permanent DPS Governments. Thank you for coming. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we meet during a defining moment, a moment where for years there has been a situation that has developed with regards to the Ndigal community in Kemot Ali, on the other side, where they are now in Senegal, 2009 to present time, way before we already knew what was happening. A lot of things came out during the TRRC and the recommendations were made. One of them was with regards to the establishment of a peace committee. Now that peace committee is part and parcel of the overall National Peace Commission, which is yet to be established under the Ministry of Interior and other partners. But the recommendation for the peace committee was in place, and that recommendation is one which was already as well accepted by the government in its white paper. However, we are mindful that the government had said that in the issue of Kemot Ali and the legal community, as outlined on the thematic 8 of the TRRC recommendation, there needs to be social cohesion activities in place. And WAVE has been privileged and honored since 2022 to be organizing different forms of social cohesion activities. And we are here working on one of those recommendations. So we're not overtaking the government in terms of building up a peace structure or a peace committee, but we are talking about locally driven initiatives which would get us to that point. And all of you have recognized the importance. That's why you have made time from your busy schedules to be here with us today. We appreciate that. Like I said, we're here at a defining moment of the Gambia's transitional justice journey. Our country is hailed and respected internationally. We are looked at because of the Gambia being one that is now even modeled by other countries for its transitional justice space, for the openness, the transparency, the speed, and also the inclusive approach in dealing with issues of transitional justice. With that recognition comes respectability and responsibility. And it also comes with the fact that the world is watching to see how recommendations are implemented across the board in a system that is constructive and will deliver transformative change for all those who are impacted. We understand that not everyone would get all of the reparations in the ways that they want, mindful that reparations is not just monetary, but comes in different forms. But ultimately, it needs to be transformative in the way it comes. So never again, as has been said, as is the mantra for the Gambia as well, must continue to live in our words. It must also show up in tangible action. Never again cannot just be in words. It should be in action, and it must mean that systems and structures which continue to perpetuate human rights violations, abuses, and in the different ways that was perpetrated in the past, that they have no place in this new dispensation and democracy in the Gambia. We all know that in the face of injustice, we must choose action, and we believe that's what we're doing. Over the years, WAVE-Gambia has had very mutual collaboration with different stakeholders and partners, and we have valued that. We have not been able, and we could not have been able, to do what we're doing now without that collaboration. So we remain hopeful that dividends will be yielded, and that those dividends, once we agree to move forward, to do the right thing, we'll be able to get the results that we are trying to achieve. We place high recognition on all of you, your leadership, your commitment, your drive, the interest that you have placed in this process. And we want to say we are together in pushing forward an agenda. An agenda is not what we are the only ones who are doing. We have here so many different ways in which work is being done in front and behind the scenes. If I could just say, tomorrow we're having a meeting with the Reparations Commission and the Restitution Committee to talk about issues which are very wide ranging, and would also cover what is under discussion here. So like, I'm appreciating that everyone who is here, part and parcel, has a role to play, and we are playing it in the ways we can, trying to move forward. In closing, I want to implore that those of us who can make changes happen, that we do, that we make the changes, that those with influence, authority, and voice can contribute to the work being done, so that we can collectively stand up and do what is right and continue in saying never again, and bringing the aggrieved and issues of systems and structures to the forefront, so that we have a Gambia in which all of us can live in truth, dignity, and making sure that our human rights are respected, promoted, fulfilled in the different ways it can be done. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to fruitful deliberations this morning.
Yes, Kuka, I'm the Executive Secretary of the Reparations Commission. Good morning. I am Abdou Emane. I am Principal Investigating Officer at NHRC, but also a Commissioner at the Reparations Commission.
Good morning. My name is Asan Jete. I'm the Interagency Coordinator at Office of National Security.
Good morning. I'm Fatima Jeng from Ministry of Interior, Senior Assistant Secretary of the Admin Department.
Good morning, everyone. I am Keba Seka. I am one of the representatives of Kermot Ali in Senegal. My expectation is that this platform forum will provide an opportunity for better understanding the issue of Kermot Ali, and also why it is necessary to have a peace committee for Kermot Ali.
Is to be able to identify a means to establish a peace committee without substituting or establishing the formal mechanism to be established by government, so that we're able to identify participants from this gathering who will certainly be part of that peace committee to be established by WAVE.
This will give me the opportunity to look at the gains and some of the pressing issues that need political commitment.
One of the key recommendations is to look into or is to devise strategies to strengthen the peace committee to avoid future recurrence of conflict in the community.
Good morning once again. Of course, I will start by saying my expectation is that everyone's expectations is going to be fulfilled today. My second expectation is that this meeting would be the trailblazer for the permanent establishment of a peace committee structure for the people of Kerr Ali. Of course, I'll join my colleague to say at the end of the day, we want to see at least some people who are here today. They will be having something that will be taken back that is very concrete and certain that peace is actually coming to the committee of Kerr Ali. So my expectation generally or finally is that we don't just have a meeting and go home and nothing will be done again, but this should be the beginning and of course the final hope for the people of Kerr Ali for peace to reign there. Thank you.
Which is rightly on the TRRC recommendations and also the white paper. But that would actually need the government commitment to be able to have that committee established, and that has to be led by the government. So what steps we're taking with consultations with the community is to have an informal mechanism, which is a community peace structure, which is different from the peace committee to be established by the state. So we have been waiting. It's been since 2017, the TRC process started. The government white paper was out in April, I think May of 2022. So it's been about 4 years now. And the implementation of having that peace committee for Kerr Ali has still not been established. And the issues and priority of the community keeps increasing every day. The families living in exile are still living in exile without no concrete solution as to when they would return. There's a court judgment that still needs to be enforced, and still now we've not still had a headway. So this would be an informal community peace structure to be able to advance the issues and the current challenges and priorities of the community. So if should the government decide at whatever point that they want to do or establish that committee, they can use this as they can actually use this as a power mechanism to be able to establish that. But the issues are still there, and ad hoc activities cannot be able to really advance or bring solutions to the issues of this community. So this is an informal structure by the community, for the community, and is not the state actually establishing it, which are two different things. But we are also getting the state buy-in to be able to see, as at now, how can we use this structure to be able to at least address some urgent needs and priorities of this community. So those are two different issues, but these are actually an interim measure to actually support the community and see how best we can actually advance their issues, because it's still an ongoing violations. They're still there without access to their property. Kids are still going, and we don't want issues of conflict or issues that they're facing to even escalate. So that's why even the other community, the present settlers of this community would also be here in this meeting, so that we see the best way forward. We see how can we actually move from just ad hoc to have a structured interim mechanisms to be able to push this agenda. So whenever the government, and I really love what the Honorable said in terms of to understand what the political will, because to establish this framework needs the political will of the state. And we are all sitting here from different institutions by the different ministries, which are actually state-led. So how can we also, from our different institutions, because there are issues of land, there are issues of security, there are a lot of issues, and different stakeholders fit in different aspects. So we're just here to actually see what the best way forward is in terms of this interim mechanisms to be able to have a community peace structure that can really, as at now, really push for the issues of Kerr Ali from just ad hoc, but as a structured mechanism within the community structure, by the community and for the community. So those are like one of the objectives and the expected outcome that we hope to get from here, to also identify what the vision of this local community structure would be, who would be the members of the structure, how would it be established, what would be the cycle of meetings, what are the current issues of the community, and what are the urgent priorities that this interim structure would be able to address in the meantime. With that being said, I would say thank you very much for everyone for saying what your expectations are. And I hope by the end of this program, all our expectations would be met. And I would like the NHRC, because we have the TRC recommendations, and the NHRC is actually responsible for the monitoring of this recommendation. So they will do a presentation as of now, when it comes to the religious attack, which is around thematic 8, what has been implemented so far? Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 2? How many recommendations do we have? And what are ongoing and what has not been implemented at all? So with that, we can be able to have a baseline as to what will be the next steps. And when this community structure is being established, what are the things that we'll be looking at following that? So thank you so much. So I would call on Abdul Mane so we can have the first presentation, if in the absence of no questions.
So ranging from 17 teams, about 17 teams were investigated. And these teams range from looking at how the coup occurred, yes, but what has been submitted. Okay. So we have a specific section on attack on religious freedom. So attack on religious freedom is a wide spectrum of different violations across different religious denominations, including that of the Ahmadis, the Sunni, those from Kerr Ali. So in 2022, government reacted to the TRRC report. And out of 265 recommendations, government accepted how much? 263. So that is the white paper. And for the white paper, it says, for example, prosecute A, B, C, and D. Because those recommendations range from, for example, reparations, legal reform, guarantees of non-repetition, for example, changing laws, changing behaviors in institutions. So it concerns a lot of things, peace building. So a lot of things are there. So the government now decided to say, how do we implement these commitments that we have accepted in the white paper? So in paragraph 564, the government said, all right, we're going to give the responsibility of monitoring the implementation of the government white paper to the National Human Rights Commission. This was a recommendation from the TRRC, but it has also been accepted by the government. So in paragraph 564, we have that recommendation accepted. And since then, the National Human Rights Commission has been reporting on the status of implementation. So in 2023, government actually came with an implementation plan. Implementation plan basically is a framework to say, all right, all these recommendations, how are we going to implement them? And out of 263 recommendations that have been accepted, government came up with 304 activities. I hope I'm clear. Out of 263 recommendations, government came up with 304 activities. And these 304 activities is what is to be implemented regarding all these recommendations. So for example, one recommendation you would see in some cases would attract up to 2 or 3 activities. For example, if you say prosecute Yahya Jammeh, how do you prosecute Yahya Jammeh? Do you just go take the file and say, let's go to court? There must be a law enabling such a thing. For example, you want to provide reparation. How do you provide reparation? There has to be a body setup. So these activities are kind of steps that needs to be taken towards implementing these specific recommendations. So that is why I said the recommendation cut across 4 different areas: legal reform, reparation, guarantees of non-repetition, prosecution, justice and accountability, and so many other things. So
based on the work of the National Human Rights Commission, in 2023, we started our first, we issued our first, we started the monitoring process. So we released 3 reports so far regarding the status of implementation. Meaning that status of implementation is basically in response to our monitoring role to look at, okay, government has committed to do A, B, C, and D. What has government done so far as regards these recommendations of the Truth Commission? In 2023, we started the report. So usually, because the first, I told you in 2022, in 2023, the implementation plan was issued by the government. So it came a little bit late. So NHRC started reporting on the status of implementation. So from June 2025 to December is what we have just completed, and by next week or before the end of this month, we will release it to the public. So basically, what we do in order to be able to report on this status of implementation is we have a multi-stakeholder committee that meets quarterly, every implementing institution. So these institutions basically are the ones responsible for implementation of the recommendations. So basically, like I was trying to tell you, this is the government white paper, but this is the implementation plan. So basically, the implementation plan is from 2023 to 2027. It's a 5-year plan. So within 5 years, government commit to implement this recommendation. But let me give you an idea as to how the implementation plan look like. So for example, you see team 1. So if you look at team 1, it's like the implementation plan. It is not very straight. I want to, so is here government has identified multi-year annual work plan 2023-2027. So these are the teams like I talked about. It's justice and accountability, reparations, guarantees of non-repetition, legal reform, law reform. So these are basically the steps that would have to be taken. So you could see in the plan, you see 2023, 24, 25, 26, 27. So where we have the X it's indicating which specific year this particular activity should be implemented. For example, if you say prosecute Yaya Jammeh, government would say, all right, we want to do this thing in 2025 or 2026. So for example, implementing entities, so institutions that are responsible to do that specific activity, you could see their names here: MOJ, Special Prosecutor's Office, National Assembly, Ministry of Interior, in total. So for the National Human Rights Commission, every 3 months we gather with these entities, and then they will give us feedback as to what they have done regarding the implementation of the recommendations of the TRRC. So as per our last report that we released in 2025, that is May 2025, out of 304 activities, we have 260, we have 60 of the activities that have been implemented, and we have 143 ongoing, and we have 101 activities not implemented. But this is as of 2025. So now we are in June. So this year's report, 2026, is not yet done, but we have completed a report from June 2025 to December 2025. So for example, now let's look at the specific theme of religious attack on religious attack on religious. As per our previous report, 4 activities are ongoing, no activity has been implemented, and 6 of the activities are non-implemented. 6 activities are there are 10, 4 ongoing, 6 are not implemented. What do we mean by this? So perhaps for you to understand, so now, like I talked about, this is from May 2025. So from June 2025 to December 2025, we have prepared a supplementary report, and that supplementary report is what we are finalizing.
So in the supplementary report, we did not look at only the recommendations, and because of the involvement of the state in religious matters, it has led to some violations also. We have seen imams being arrested. We've seen government taking role to say, you must pray this particular day. Do you understand? And it was the opinion of the those that drafted the recommendation that the state and religion should be separate such that the state infrastructure does what they need to do and the religious activities should be led by religious leaders. Do you understand? So what this recommendation 228 is that there should be a provision in the constitution which separates the state and religion. Do you understand? Because we are a sovereign secular republic as per the constitution. So there was a process in terms of drafting a new constitution. As at the time we were reporting, there was a constitutional process ongoing, but this has stalled. It has not succeeded. As at the time we were reporting this activity, this recommendation was ongoing because there were steps being taken. So we are hopeful that with that process, if it was successful, we will say it would be implemented. But now that the process has stalled, in our recent report, it will be not implemented. Do you understand? Study tour to countries with exemplary system of interfaith mechanism to learn best practices. This recommendation is that the ministry responsible for religious affairs should kind of conduct at least a study tour or a benchmarking visit to other countries to see how there is interfaith cooperation and practice, so that we could replicate such a system in the Gambia. This recommendation is recommendation 234A. It has not been implemented. This was not done. And then who was responsible? Ministry of Justice, the Joint Peace Committee, Ministry of Local Government, Lands and Religious Affairs. So that is the implementing institution here. There is no information that this recommendation has been implemented. And how do we conduct this? Likewise, how do we report this? It's based on the feedback we gather quarterly from our stakeholders during our multi-stakeholder monitoring committee meetings. So the feedback we get, that is what we report. And also the media, because they're fourth estate. Whatever is reported on the news in the newspapers, we follow, and then we would reference them as being sources to what we are reporting on. So you could see each of the recommendations is related. You understand? So this was an activity that ought to be done, but and it should be led by the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Local Government, Land and Religious Affairs, and we have the Joint Peace Committee, which should be set up. But this was not done fully. What has been done, there were efforts led by WAVE and Ministry of Justice towards taking steps in this. So like I was talking about, WAVE and supported by Freedom House facilitated a significant peace and social cohesion dialogue in Kerr Ali. In August 2022, the Ministry of is the same. There were steps, but this is not a formal constituted government action. We cannot say that is implemented, but these are steps that are done by partners together with government. We say that recommendation 229 is what? Ongoing. It is an ongoing process. And in fact, if a peace structure is established as an outcome of this meeting, we will still document that and have it as what? An ongoing process until when government establishes its own peace committee. Do you understand? So let's say there is an outcome of this meeting and it is reported by the media. In our research, we will reference the report that will be made by, for example, QTV, Foroya, Voice newspaper, or whichever media happens to report this outcome, then we will record. This recommendation is yet to be implemented. People of Kerr, am I right? So our finding is that this recommendation is what? Yet to be implemented. Carry out a curriculum development of religious inclusion of religious tolerance and social cohesion as part of civic education at educational institutions. Carry out, there has to be curriculum development to ensure that there is inclusion of religious tolerance and social cohesion as part of civic education. So, right now, there is a civic education course offered, and I think Samba even authored a book in relation to that. So, the recommendation is that should be revisited to include aspects of religious tolerance. Maybe when you are revising your new edition, you can bring a section on this, so that people could learn about religious tolerance and social cohesion, how to live peacefully in the community. This has to be included in the curriculum, where in the civic education curriculum, this has to be included. But as per our research, this is yet to be done. This is to be done by Ministry of Higher Education and Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Do you understand?
Bring the committee, give them the input and those people that should be actionable. And that will help them to be able to perform their oversight, to see will continue coming and going. You will give us reports, they will gather dust there. At the end of the day, we are confused who implement who or what. So my recommendation that, and I really want you to extend this so that it will help us move forward. Because it's really sad that we had such a things. Out of 8, the rate at which we are going as a nation on implementing these things is not, it's very slow. And the resources made to identify all these things too much. So it's like going to be a waste of resources for nothing. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think I have one concern. I have one concern, and in regard to the religious freedom. In the implementation, monitoring for the implementation, you did mention the study tour that was supposed to be undertaken by government of the Gambia, and I believe the timeline has passed. I wouldn't know in your monitoring, in situations where the shortfall for a timeline, they fall behind a particular timeline, do you advise them or do you inquire the reason for why it doesn't happen, or do you advise them what other target in terms of timeline would they substitute that one? Because for the study tour, if they still want to go by that, their timeline has already passed. So have the government make commitment to another timeline to replace that one? So that was a concern for me.
He said the implementation timeline is from 2023 to 2027. Even the activities that have been, the recommendations that have been implemented, you will realize that some of them have, they were implemented at a time not within the specific timeline. So there was delayed implementation, but nonetheless implemented. So still we have 1 year ahead, that is 2027, because this implementation plan will phase out in 2027. So it can still be implemented by 2027. So us as a commission, the National Human Rights Commission, what we do is to monitor. And remember, we are monitoring 304 activities, 263 recommendations, each of them whether they've been implemented or not. So what we do is to share this information with the institutions. So it becomes the responsibility of the institutions to understand that we are required to do this, and they take positive steps towards that effect. But if nothing is done, it becomes a challenge, because we have about 59 implementing institutions. So we don't follow up on everyone, but what we do is to release this report and then make them aware of the outcomes of the reports, and it is for them to take positive steps towards the implementation.
For me, I align myself with the gentleman here. I think we are far behind time. If you look at the implementation plan and the recommendation of the TRC, some of the recommendations don't even need money to implement them. Maybe if there is even the need for money, maybe a small amount of money. For instance, declaring something. How long will it take this country to declare something like the April 10 and 11 incident as a public holiday? Of course, the National Human Rights Commission is doing a great job. That should be acknowledged. However, I think there should be more, kind of a strict measures, if possible. Put more pressure on the institutions that are responsible. But of course, also adding more of capacity building because like what he said, if you are given the responsibility to implement something and you don't even know that this is something that you should do, then that is serious. And given that the implementation plan is 2023 to 2027, that is just a year to go. So what are the plans to say, okay, by 2027, those that don't require money, we just put them off? Because it's like not only that victims are fatigued, but even institutions are also fatigued. They are tired of, every year reports here and there, nothing has been done much. And I think we're taking sometimes the long road to justice to actualize certain things, which we can do. For me, I think we can do a lot more compared to what we have achieved. But even though, yes, we have achieved something. Thank you
very much, Mr. Mane, for that presentation. It helps us to understand the great detail of what is going on. Maybe not much according to what we are seeing. But my concern is for the issue of Kerr Ali, to say that certain elements of the recommended items from the TRRC are ongoing. For me, it's a point to question. Maybe Mariama can help us as well. Because to say that this organization now, this gathering now, whatever we conclude here from, I don't think that will be a resolution from the government. So to say that it's ongoing, when actually whatever we recommend from here is not going to bind the government in any way. And I don't think also this program was organized by the government itself. Likewise, the other programs that we held, like the social cohesion programs that we went around the CRR area.
In collaboration with them.
Was it in collaboration with them? But have they actually taken any initiative themselves to say that the government is inviting the people of Kerr Ali, the governor's office, or anywhere to hold this regards the route to the recommendation of the TRS?
Consultations with the Attorney General.
Because I can organize a gathering and invite the governor.
In collaboration with them. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's why I said maybe you can help. But for me, I haven't actually seen any initiative that the government has taken the lead. Maybe it's WAVE inviting government officials for them to attend. So if that is ongoing, then if you say so, then I'll go by that. But I'm not convinced.
So let me.
To clarify for my own understanding, is where government take its own initiative.
Yes.
In regard to the Kerr Ali issue.
Yes.
That is absent.
That is absent. And I think according to the recommendation,
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
According to the recommendation,
so far, it's a collaborative effort between WAVE and Ministry of Justice in organizing certain events, namely social cohesion. And other reconciliatory.
Yeah, but the fact of the issue is that I think according to the recommendation, it is the Ministry of MOJ, it is MOJ, as well as the National Human Rights Commission. But I myself haven't seen anywhere where they have taken the lead. It's actually usually WAVE who invites them. It's like if I organize my own gathering, invite the Solicitor General. When I'm doing my report, I say that I organized this gathering. The Solicitor General was there. That doesn't mean that MOJ organized that gathering. So in effect, for me, I'm not still convinced that the government is really serious about this issue.
With the Ministry of Justice, that's why we also involve other partners, because issues of securities, issues of land, the Ministry of Justice, sometimes they can't deal with it. It has to go through the Ministry of Interior, and it has to go through the Ministry of Lands and Local Government to be able to action some of these things. So that is why even with this meeting, we've been having so many engagement when it comes to precursor and also community engagement. But we've seen that for us to be able to have the impact that the community is looking for, we have to move from just hard up. So if the Ministry of Justice right now is not, the political will is not there for them to be able to set up that peace committee, how can we come up with an interim measure to establish an informal structure of all the different implementing partners who has a role? Because land issue, we have the Ministry of Land, the director is here. When it comes to security issue, we have the representative from the Ministry of Interior, we have the ONS, all here. When it comes to, and also the police is also here. So when it comes to those issues that the different stakeholders' roles are, how can we be able to advance that without even the government really establishing that committee as at now? But we can be able to make straight to say, okay, these issues of security, issues of their lands, how do we come to an agreement? How do we have some of these activities ongoing rather than just hard work engagement.
The reality is that kind of gives them a stepping stone if they want to go forward, because government has so many, not being victim-centered, government has a lot of priorities, right? But you need to be on their neck. You know, you need to be doing the advocacy such that certain steps could be taken. So we also want to document what civil society has been doing, that they've been doing all this process. So at the end of the day, when you have a meeting with government and government say we are doing this, you can tell them, well, we have a document to show that this is what we have been doing, and you can hold them accountable. And in that way, at least government would be, will wake up to its responsibilities and do the needful.
Allied, or it's as they have done absolutely nothing.
Yes.
You should say that.
Zero. I think
Yes.
I said that.
Yes, but you were trying to.
No, like I'm
Yes.
just trying to say our efforts
Yes.
in collaborating with the state, but the state as its own to take those initiatives has not been done, but in collaboration with civil society, yes.
But I also want to comment contribution. They may not have the resources to do it as they should. But in our reporting, to be fair, as an independent institution, we want the fact that they were present. We want to know that WAVE has done A, B, C, and D with government. The government, well, you can write to them and they say, well, you don't have time for this. We have other meetings to attend. But the fact that they commit to be there, witnessing the processes, is a step forward. It may not be the result that we need, but it's a step closer to the result.
Has the presence?
Yeah, does it change anything? Here, let's start with here.
The entire process.
No, let's start with here.
Here it will.
Thank you.
Here,
that was the question I was going to ask. Is MOJ present here?
MOJ, I don't know.
In
It
this
seems like
meeting today, unfortunately, they called that it would not be.
Okay. Because most of the things I'm seeing here, is MOJ should be central in this, because they are the ones that should be informing people about, like you said,
monitoring, basically the lead agency.
Thank you.
The implementation of the plan.
So most of this implementation to these institutions that they don't understand is MOJ that should make them understand. So if MOJ don't do that, then like gentleman said, Gambians, we are very good at looking at things, but we're not good at reading and understanding. So we need an institution that will tell us, this is your responsibility, and then actually hold them to account.
Exactly, I like that contribution. So to now bring all these together and tell them, you know what? You have to do ABC, and we have this community. We are coordinating. You understand? But not to talk about everything. They also have their own challenges.
Gambia we are not endowed with resources. No, we are. We just don't put our priorities in the same place that we need to do. Because like the judgment has been passed for Kerr Ali's case. But what is stopping them from enforcing it?
Well, you don't need... One thing is certain, don't expect any implementation to happen. It has to be factored in the budget.
What's stopping them from?
This is what I'm saying, because it's their responsibility. We commend them in NHRC for the good work they're doing, but I think probably what they can do is also to put pressure on the post-TRRC unit to kind of for it to filter down, because to ensure that these heads of agencies or ministries are supposed to factor in their budgets these activities to implement. In the absence of that, no activity will be implemented, because all are supposed to be costed.
If they take example, so if they have to put that in their report, so the government might just take that as an excuse to say that this is ongoing. This is actually not ongoing as far as I'm concerned. This is just what I want to put forward so that everybody knows. For me, ongoing means that the actual parties who are supposed to take the lead are taking the lead. They should not be just normal participants like anybody else. And for me, the government are just normal participants. And this issue of this part of the recommendation is being put in place. But the government is not there.
It has been about 3 months since I was tasked to establish a local peace committee for the Kerr Ali issue. One disheartening thing is, if I go by approaching people, I will not establish it. Because it seems 90% of all those that I approached were reluctant to participate. But
at the tail end, I just decided on my own. I selected people whom I'm satisfied with, imams, alkalolu, and people that I know are truthful, and did that establishment. I've come with the paper and I've finished it. Yes. So there are still some important participants like the security and the immigration should all be members of this local. Yes. But one thing that I would want to remind everybody here is that security is paramount everywhere. And we all know governments are concerned with security. I am not saying this is what the government said, but in my own view, can the two Kedma Alis coexist in one village? This is the concern, and this is what we should work towards. Is it possible for the two? For the two, I will not say two, it's one family. For the family to reunite. This should be the concern, and this should be the number one step that we should work towards. If we achieve that, then definitely we are working towards success. And as long as I am concerned, this committee, we have our own plan, which I have not yet explained to WAVE. Meanwhile, I will have to thank WAVE for their hard work in trying to unite this family, bringing peace. They've been doing everything possible, so they need to be thanked for. We are grateful. As Ketmo Ali is under me, it's a big concern to me, because definitely at any time or every day, I'm expecting trouble from these villages. If not the security who were there, it would have been something else. But the security can be removed with proper steps. These people can come back together, live together in peace, and the security will go to another area where they will be of more use, where of not more use, but where they are needed. You see. So it is the responsibility of the two Kedmo Alis, who are one family, to have sympathy for these gatherings, for the government, for all those who are trying to reunite them, reason with themselves, sit together and discuss and come back as one family. So henceforth, when I go home from here, I will gather my committee, we discuss and make our recommendations. Yes, truthful and realistic recommendations that we see will bring back peace to the two communities. Without which, if I was the president, definitely, despite the recommendations of all this TRRC, the High Court, the Supreme Court, if I foresee trouble in the future, definitely I will not endorse it. Because this world, everything is peace. We need peace. Where you don't expect peace, definitely you don't have to accept it. I'm not saying this is perspective, but if I was the president, honestly, I would not. You have to work towards a peaceful resolution so that they can live in peace. Everybody would know they can live in peace. And I believe that can happen. I believe that can happen. Because what triggered this issue, we don't want to go back there. But one thing that I am aware is now, if you go to Kerr and Ndigal, you want to pray, they provide you with a kettle and mat. That was not the case before. So I believe if truthful discussions are made, we can make a breakthrough. Thank you.
Good morning once again, and thank you very much, everyone, for coming. As Marama said, I am Kebaseka, joined by Yunusa Sise and Kumba Seka, as well as another gentleman, Seth Seka. Eh, Yeah, Auntie Fatumana is also another daughter of Kermot Ali. Thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure to address you on behalf of the exiled Gambians in Kermot Ali, Senegal, for this important platform. This is a platform that will enable us to chart the way for finally establishing a peace structure for Kermot Ali. It's important to thank everybody, as I said, but particularly Women Association for Women and Victims Empowerment, for the fact that since 2022, this organization has been working with my community in exile. We went into exile in 2009, since then unattended by any government institution. We were completely excluded from the Gambia. We were being assisted since then. Our children, over 10 years, no single child from our community went to school. From 2022, with the intervention of WAVE having to work with our community, they were able to facilitate some group of 5 children to enroll in that particular year. Now we are happy to say over 50 children are currently going to school. Maternal health was also a big challenge for my community for over a decade when we were forced into exile, and with the intervention of WAVE also they facilitated that. Pregnant women were given birth at home. For over 10 years, no single woman delivered at a hospital in my community. So delivering at a hospital begins from 2022 to date. Yet still there are some pending particular maternal health issues regarding documentations. A lot of these women would find it challenging to access Gambian health facilities due to ID card problem. They had ID card, but these ID cards were the ones that they had prior to their forced exile. And these are expired ID cards. And whenever they presented these ones to health facilities, they are always required to change them, or otherwise it will be rendered invalid. So renewing those documentation from the Gambian authorities still pose a big challenge to us, and we are still pursuing that. A huge number of ours have not got that settled. Also, some of the children that are enrolled at school from Gambian parents still could not have on their register, on their class register, being indicated as a Gambian because one or both of their parents could not have documents, because some of the parents at the time of the exile, because of the nature of the incident at the time, a lot of materials and documents were left behind, and that is why some still could not get those documents, and for them to have documents now, they require the attestation of an alcalo and the right chief, honorable chief here to attest that, and that's still posing challenge for a lot of the Gambians in exile. So we are asked to talk about the challenges, and that's why I'm highlighting the challenges in terms of education, in terms of accessing to health, particularly maternal health, as well as farming. Livelihood is quite important, and in the province, we are predominantly farmers, and our main source of income, everyone knows, that comes from the farmland. So imagine being deprived of your property, including your farmlands that you inherited from your parents and grandparents. Those farmlands are now being used by other persons, being supported by government, and we are rendered stateless in Senegal, and there also we do not have properties, land that we can claim ownership, trace from any of our lineage, from our grandparents, from our fathers, from no one. So it's a big challenge for us to have a farmlands. What we often do is when the rainy season comes, we go to nearby communities in the Senegal area to rent farmlands. Since 2009, any single farm we harvest some produce is rented, and it's also very difficult for us, and everyone knows that that is quite difficult, and it's a very difficult way of livelihood. So aside from that, also we know freedom of movement is quite important. It's not easy for us to travel to Gambia anyhow, anywhere, or the most accessible place, because where we are in exile in Kermot Ali, the closest route and the safest route for us is where the PIU are stationed, and that is passing through Kermot Ali, Gambia, getting to the tar road, going to anywhere you want to go within the country. So we are now deprived from accessing that safe and closest way. A back route is being created for us without any security there, and that is posing a lot of security challenge, especially if you travel and you arrive late in the evening. Sometimes women, sometimes children, whosoever, you still have to pursue that dark area and then enter Kermot Ali, Senegal. Right now, if you travel there and you want to go to Kermot Ali, Senegal, you have to take the back route, not necessarily the shortcut that passes through Kermot Ali and then find its exit at the PIU base. So you can see that security is not even a concern to the government, because they have provided security to those people they place in Kermot Ali, Gambia, and the main road that we used to take is now closed. And let me pause here to highlight that from 2009 to 2018, Kermot Ali, Gambia, and Kermot Ali, Senegal have coexisted, not in the same territory, but we have been interacting. We have been going to each other's, despite the fact that we were not able to reclaim our properties, despite the fact that we did not have journey from 2009 to 2017, because then it was during the reign of Jammeh. We were patiently in Kermot Ali, Senegal, and despite that, there was no high concern animosity that should have warranted Jammeh to station PIU officers in Kermot Ali. So it's important to know that from 2009, when we were forced into exile, until 2018, the two settlements were separated. But despite the separation, people from Kermot Ali, Gambia, would come to Kermot Ali, Senegal, and people from Kermot Ali, Senegal, would often go to Kermot Ali, Gambia. The issue of Kermot Ali, the complexity is politically motivated. That is the reality. From October 2018, that was the first time the police were stationed in Kermot Ali. Now, imagine if there was high risk between 2009 and 2018. I think by the time Jammeh left, the PIU officers would have been stationed in Kermot Ali. And when the police goes back to their record, they will know that there had not been any security post in KMA prior 2018. That is just telling you that the security threat and the allegation that the Ndigal people are threat to the state are just some words of their owners. They are just made to spoil minds and also to cast allegations against us, just to tarnish image. We cannot avoid that, because tarnishing image, nowadays is just the order of the day. People like to make allegations against people. But the fact of the matter, just understand that from 2009 to 2018, if there was security threat, that wouldn't have been the case for. So the other issue is also the entire community of Kermot Ali. Those people who were living there before 2009 are the one currently living in Senegal, Kermot Ali, Senegal. Now the one currently living in Kermot Ali are the new settlement that came there in 2009. That is why some impressions that are making people to believe that the two communities once live together in Kermot Ali, Gambia. That isn't the case. And I bear witness, and everybody here could attest to this fact, that the two settlements only came into being in 2009 when we are forced into exile. And that is why when they came, they occupied our properties that we left behind and further developed it. Not that they came and created their own settlement. That is not the case. And I always make this challenge that whoever dispute this could ask the current occupants of Kermot Ali, Gambian documents bearing Kermot Ali prior to 2009. Nobody currently living in Kermot Ali can produce that, because these documents cannot be backdated. This is the fact. But their supporters continue to express that, you know, the two communities are one family that have been living together. That, of course, part of some people in Senegal, Kermot Ali, Senegal, and part of some people in Kermot Ali, Gambia, belong to the same family, but not the entire two communities came from the same family. That is the fact. The two communities that are related by the founder of the community. So going again to the challenge of Kermot Ali, we the exile community, when we left from Kermot Ali, Gambia, the properties we left behind, I mentioned, were occupied by another people who did not own them and further developing. Not only that, the farmlands we were cultivating prior to 2009, these farmlands are also currently being occupied and cultivated and harvested by the current occupants, residents of Kermot Ali, Gambia. So that is the case. Now, what is the challenge? The challenge is some property, that is some homes we left behind are occupied, but some homes are not occupied. So for us, the people of Kermot Ali, we say that we want to access the homes that are not occupied, the abandoned homes. Whilst the homes that are occupied, we can give them time for them to prepare and get another plot of land of their own and relocate them. But our priority is not to drive them out of our homes. That is not our priority. Our priority is the unoccupied homes that belongs to us and confirmed by the court that it belongs to us. Those unoccupied homes be given back to us for us to develop it. In fact, we went to the level of saying we do not even wait for government to come and rebuild these structures for us. Let them just declare that and identify the properties that we belong to, that we own, and they are not occupied. These properties being given back to us, and we start developing it on our own. That is the simple request we are making. And for peace to reign and to show that we are people of peace, we say that the occupied homes, despite the fact that we own, despite the fact that we have a judgment in our favor, our priorities is not to drive them away. We can live side by side with them peacefully. Yeah, that is what we said. And we said that in one of the forums we had in Keme, where the current occupant of Kermot Ali are seated. And I think there are some participants in this room that could bear me witness that these statements were made in Kermot Ali in the presence of those currently living in Kermot Ali. So just to say that these are some challenges, challenge of education, documentation, maternal health, land, and also safe route where we can pass through and travel to any place we want to go to. So I'm going to the key priorities. Those things I mentioned are just the challenges, but our key priority is the establishment of the peace structure. We aim to see by the end of today's gathering, the composition of the peace structure is established. So meaning from today on, we are counting on how to bring together that committee to commit them to whatever responsibility they are to be taking and to move on. And we are also hoping the peace structure we are forming today will inspire government to accelerate the peace committee. We know that if we were waiting for government, we wouldn't have been here today. The animosity in Kerr Ali had been very tense at some moment, because it's always hard to see your hard-earned properties and belongings being taken away by people all the time. So, but despite what, it is now cool due to the intervention of WAVE. That is why WAVE is doing something that we believe it's their role, because their role, part of their role is to complement government.
Comme ñi occupy kenn ci jàppale buur ane déedéet dëgg la ñoom ñu nga fële duñ mun a accès seen alal pour jàmm ne fa ci misaal ñu ngi Kër Maali suñ buggee bay si fii fitna dina am seen diggante ak ñu nekk fii kon lan la ñuy war a def moo ñu toog foofu ba ñu ñib seen alal benn misaal rek laay joxe kii ñëw na suma kër mu ne ñu ngi gis na ñu ngi fens këri baayam xam naa baayam moom xawma ko woon waaye xam naa baayam ñun ñoo doon ànd ci àll bi ci di dem làmbo bëre so bu mu ñëwee wax ma ne moom gis na ñu ngi fens këri baayam ma oo alkaali bi ma laaj ko mu wax ma mu ne ma diw moo ko jaay ma ne ko yow ak diw boobu soxla naa leen bu jënd rek yow alkaali bi ak ki jaay ngeen ñëw dinaa invite Kumba parce que kër googu ki ko jaay yaakaar naa ne moom dañoo nekkee di pour ma investment yooyu bentey maa ngi leen denc te du ma ko endorse te laajuma gouverneur laajuma député gouverneur xam nga kon nguur gi moom ci lii na yu fa nekk du jàppale nguur gi ci wàlli naka lañ ko ci wàlli xale yi ñun ñëpp xam nañ ne xaleel dafa am right to education xam nañ ne doomu aadama bu nekk dafa am right pour health care li ci métti woon rek mooy suñ ñëwaan lopitaan duñ daaxa kenn waaye sooru Gambian dinañ la caaj foreigners fii ñu atel muy jigéen ju wéradi mooy feebar soo ñëwee rek boo amul Gambian document loolu lañ la caaj waaye duñ la daaxa laas li mooy ci document seen ID card yu màgget yi su fekkee ni xam naa Kumba ni ma ko xamee ni ma xamee baayam te su ko alkaali su ñëwee su yóbbu attestation alkaali bi bañ ko su ñëwee ci man mun naa ko wane ko kaay ak sa stamp bi stamp ko bàyyi foofu su ko stamp bu ma jëflante ak moom waaye su fekkee ni xaw ma la nga dem ci alkaali bi ne du Gambian man mun ko xaw ma la mënumaay forcé alkaali bi ne stampal ko Gambian la constant boobu laa am ci wàlli Kër Ali Sénégal ñun alkaali yi lañuy topp suñ attesté rek buñ stampé mënuñ leen a weddi xanaa again ñu stampal Yunusa nii xam naa ne Yunusa waa Daaru la wala Kilimaan wala naka Bamba parce que ñun dañ dee xamante loolu su ko defee mun naa téye fekk mi ma ne ko kaay kii naka la nekkee Gambian woon ma naka la boobu mari jàpp lii la mbir mi dem waaye nag
dañ xaw a gis ñi nuy suñ ceeb bi dafa dem rawatina waa WAVE ngeen nuyu waa WAVE yëpp képp ku fi teew si rawatina seen njiit di Priscilla Yaba Ceesay gis nañ seen taxawaay si Kër Ali ak ci réew mi seen liggéey jàppale jigéen ñi jàppale góor ñi fépp koo xam ne seen loxo dina rek ñu ngi jàppale jigéen ñi waa Gambia yi ak góor ñi waa Gambia ñu ñëw rek ñun waa Kër Ali Ndigal mu mel ni ñun ñoo nekk ci suñu réew ñun lañ génnee 2009 ba léegi ñu mel ni ñu ngi ko ci suuf si jàmbur ñu dicté woon nag li nga xam ne moom lañ moom di seen suuf bi mu mel ni depuis boobu ba léegi dafa xaw a nekk loo xam ne lu tëll mu mel ni waa Wave ñu ci yëngatu time bu ne ak ñeneen ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi leen see jàppale ñi desaare kon di waxee fi nga xam ne moom la Keba doon waxee noonu si jigéen ñi mu mel ni ñun jigéen ñi Kër Moussa lu ne dañ ko dund si comme lopitaan bi nii Papa Djib di wax moom laa koy liyal xam nga am na loo xam ne nii moom du ko yëg waaye man mi si boppam ñëw naa téesi ni njaaw war a dem si lopitaan bi police ñoo ma wàcce ki ma wàcce Cissé la tudd su teewoon fii tey du ko wéddi moom moo ma waxal boppam na ma aji bi si boppam moo aaye képp koo xam ne danga gëm ndigal pour ñu alaawuñu si réewu Gambia moom mu ne ma léegi moom moo ko wax aji bi moo ko wax ak nga xam ne mooy chef police waaw mu dellu ñëwaat ki nga xam ne moom moo nekk si seen jilli foofu noonu mu ne ma xaaral ma dem wooyi ko ma ne ko waaw mu tañ ma foofu la xaw a yàgg maa ngi téye sama doom mu ne ma léegi dama koy woo moom mu ngi si kër ñoom ami jama njam ma ne ko waaw xam naa fi nekk dama ko wooyi mu ne dafa wooyi seen boss police ma ne ko waa baax na mu ñëw ba mu ñëwee mu ne ma yow fan nga jëm ma ne ko si lopitaani njaaw bi si laa jëm mu ne ma dañ ma wax ne moom ma ne ko mu ne ma yow lañ la taajee fii ma ne ko dañ ma wax ne aji bi moo wax ne képp koo xam ne dafa gëm ndigal alaawuñ ne si réewu Gambia bi fii Cissé bi ma wax loolu su taxawee ma waxaat ko tey moo ma aris foofu am naa ay witness player nañ mu ne ma léegi moom mu ne moom seen essor bi moo ko wax loolu ma ne ko essor nag damay laaj ci yow yaa wax loolu wala déet essor mooy essor saako damay laaj ci ndax yow yaa wax loolu wala déet mu ne ma an sa arinkat ma génne wan ko mu ne ma an sa kayiti juddu yi ma génne wan ko fekk kayit biñ ma doon bootee noos njaaw maa ngi juddoo si lopitaani njaaw bu njëkk njaaw Sikunda fële maa ngi ko am ma génne sama kayiti noos wan ko mu ne ma yow kan moo la ñeme aaye Gambia fii ndax yow li ma wan nii man ñi amoo ma ko kon kan moo la ñeme aaye Gambia jógal nga dem mu mel ni tey boos bu ko yëgutoon itam dafa may dàq pour ma génn foofu noonu dafa mel ni léegi am na ñuy liggéey si réew mi de waaye am na ñuy liggéey ndaxte keroog su fekkoon ne léegi boosam àndale na ko moom li ma wax foofu noonu moom Cissé boobu dafa ma wax ne léegi képp koo xam ne gëm nga ndigal aji bi dafa wax ne képp koo xam ne danga gëm ndigal alaawuñ la si réew te léegi boosam ba mu ñëwee daf ko weddi bàyyi ma man pour ma jàll dem faji dañ daan dem si lopitaan bi biñ demee war a faji itam comme ni la police boobu waxee moom itam daf la koy waxee na la yow wax nañ ne waa ndigal yi waruñuy ñëw loolu am nañ ko fa ay problème yoo xam ne time boobu noonu sax Papa ci mi nekkoon bu doon ci bi booba dem ba Papa Malick moo nekkoon ci mu mel ni loolu dund nañ ko fa lu du jeex li ci ëpp daal mën nañoo wax ne pisi la yaago Cissé moo ñu si génne am nañ fa meeting moom Papa ci mii mu ngi toog këram si jaay man mii la woon jaay baati dama doon jaay baati alkaali bi mën naa koy xool maa nga amee doom baam ba bërki démb la ma mujjee ak balo xàq bërki démb alkaali baati xam ma gën maa nga amee doom baam bi nii mën naa koy xool waaw xam naa te dama am ci business bu leer nañ mu ne ñu yéen waa ndigal dañ leen xaaye fii ngeen jaay te Papa ci mi am na beneen jigéen bu dëkk baati mos na koy wax foofu noonu Papa ci dellu jógaat leer la leen na leen ñii dañ am right pour jaay kuy suñuy jaay ku man jënd ku mënul bàyyi waaye dañ am right pour jaay nañ leen bàyyi ñuy jaay te xam nga bañ ñu doon aaye baati moom nekkul sax dafa mel ni léegi si am na loo xam ne doo ko mun di dem di ko wax sa boos time bu ne am na loo xam ne dana ko yëg waaye am na loo xam ne du ko yëg waaye lii moom dund nañ ko dañ ko fa dund loolu lu dul jeex mu mel ni comme li mu wax nii si kayit yi tam rafetlu naa ko ndax loolu musuñ koy am su fekkee moom danañuy jàppale ne képp koo xam ne dafa am wording card bu yàgg ak base certificat am su ma ko yóbboo moom mu gis ne kii lu leer la am dana ko mun a dimbale si Moussa pour mu tàmpel ko loolu moom suñ ko xamee alhamdulilah ndax ñu fa xam seen kayit yu bëri na te mënuñu am ñu ne léegi soo demee si arinkaar yi ñu ne la lii dafa expire ba pare te léegi Moussa pour mu tàmpel la comme problème te mu mel ni Papa Chief loolu laa dégg moom mu wax léegi si kàddu rafetlu naa ko bu baax baax na jërëngeen jëf
maa ngi leen di nuyu di leen santal di leen jox seen wàccuwaay li ma mën a sànni naka ci wàjji ndi Kéba li moo wax ni yëpp dama di witness naka ndi maa ngi wéef naka amul benn toogaay boo xamante ne gars yi dem nañ oppasalu ñu bàyyi ma gannaaw di gërëm naka Chief mii nii ku jara gërëm la ndi njiit la te mot na njiit waaye di gërëm weef mi nga xam ne lu nguur ji war a def weef ñu ngi koo def si njiital président Yabou Ceesay ak staffam yépp kenn desut gannaaw Kéba li moo wax ni loolu laa bëgg a déggal weef bi ñoo dem Thierno Ali Sénégal dañ fekka gaay kenn du dem noos si jigéen ñi dangaa omba 1 to 9 months am sa doom ci noonu doo am kayit doo am dara seen jigéen ñi njaay yi ñoo njaay kenn du ñemee génn pour dem si beneen village naka nga dem jaay foofu noonu loolu kan moo ko saafara naka weef ñoo ko saafara moo tax ma jël parole di demee sa am naka lu leer pim weef tey su fekkente ne naka ñoom ñoo toog naka si place nguur gi ni ko affaire bi jeex na bu yàgg di weef dëgg rek la dee demee te ki ko jiital toujours loolu laa day wax nit ñi dafa nekk ak doomi réew mi doomi réew boo xamante ne naka dafa jàng naka xam lan la moo def mu dem si yeneen réew yi naka di aar foofu noonu di indi jàmm bi mu gisee naka tolof naka si réewam mu delluwaat naka sampa office am ne man waaye nag duma dellu sama réew naka dem indi jàmm ji foofu loolu moo ko indi fii nii waaye jàmm jooju mu ngi koo dox de ndi Kerr Ali Gambian yi ñoo fa nekk réfugié boo xamante ne doomi Gambian lañ dem toog Sénégal di sofa seen xale dundee dem school kenn du am naka facilité pour nga dem ci hôpital soo demee hôpital naka de laa daaxa ñii suñ yóbbee seen jaay yi dangaa dem si dëkk sax naka ñu génne leen naka bugguma laa fii nii pour nga ñëw jaay fii nii waaye loolu président Yabou Ceesay naka office am ñoom ñoo ko dox tey lu Kéba wax noonu lu ëpp naka 50 xale yoo xamante naka ñu ngi dem school njaawo di jànga te mu ngi leen naa toppatoo naka ak waa office am yépp jigéen yaa ngi jaay naka dëkkata dëkka Chief Demba Simile kenn bàyyiwut ci gannaaw président su fekkente ne xaaju guddi la ko onee na ko affaire Kerr Ali jóg na ndi toujours suñ event bu nekk dafa wax ne mu ne su tëddee guddi duy nelaw mu ne Upper Saloum su amee jàmm surtout Kerr Ali Gambie Sénégal suñ dellu seen naka seen réew loolu moo tax naka muy mun a nelaw comme que moom mooy chief bi foofu su safaan nekkee foofu noonu moom moo am safaan looloo tax naka event buñ am du seet ne naka kilifa suñ ko oyee guddi sa Mariam su ko oyee guddi naka boo seet dinañu oyo si bon ñu gërëm ko sant ko waaye li may wax nii yéen ñi nga xam ne naka yéenaa ngi toog honorable Mballo yaa ngi fi toog yow xam nga dara naka suñ liggéey bi ci office bi waaye dama bugg a ngeen jël weef roof kon ngeen wone weef ne weef mooy berb CSO boo xamante ne dañ taxaw naka pour fompa naka boti nit ñi surtout ñi nga xam ne naka ñu ngi coono ñi nga xam ne naka ñu ngi coono rawatina naka Kerr Ali Sénégal Kerr Ali war nañoo safara naka seen affaire waaye Kerr Ali sonn nañ ci kees boo xamante ne dem na koot naka ñu wiin ko TRRC joxe nañ ne naka dañu war a dellu weef def na jéego bu nekk xale bi toog ne naka Kansulu Camara duñ ko bàyyi gannaaw fu ñoo dem naka dañoo àndaa moom naka se liggéey weef bente naka dara mënut a saafara weef li ñoo def nii su fekkente ne naka nguur gi dañuy jàppale honorable maa ngi laa dénk kàddu boobu noonu ngeen jàppale suñ office bi su ko defee ñun li ñoo dox loolu mooy jàppale naka nguur gi ñun suñ liggéey bi yëpp pour jàppale nguur gi la nguur mënut a dem fu nekk waaye ñun ñu ngi dem fu nekk suñ jiit bi naka mu ngi def lu nekk di fuyel naka di dépense ñëpp loo xamante ne loolu mooy indi naka jàmm ci réew mi waa Kerr Ali nekkuñ foori na waaye dafa mel ni waa Kerr Ali léegi foori na leen nekk Sénégal foofu lañ ko dafa daw yaram soo seetee ne ñu ne la sa doomi réew Gambia moo jógee fii ni naka réfugié la naka ñunu nen bente naka munta saafara man lii laa bugg a sànni su ko yéen ñi fi toog yépp ku dem sa office ngeen xam ne naka weef dañ toog pour jàppale naka ngeen jël weef naka ñu ekkati ko su ko defee ñu mun a am dam naka sa liggéey bii nii jërëjëf.
Within this space, and the result is paying dividend. I thank Chief for coming, being bold enough to do what is right. We must do what is right to get it right and to achieve the desired impact. Chief jërëjëf yàlla moo am fay. Ñun dégg naa fii lu bari te jàng naa fii lu bari xam naa ne am na lu nekk si biir lu xuut la lu difficult la te waxuñ ko fii waaye ku fi toog rek dañoo ñambaas tuuti rek nga xam ne am na leneen lu nekk si biir boobu nag dafa sensitive boobu foog naa ne chief ak yoon bi nga start di jël ak yeneen kilifa si gox boobu noonu balaa Wave ak ñeneen yéen war ngeen advance loolu ngeen def ko te ma ngi laa ñaana liggéey bi nga def because fu mu nekk nii sa taxawaay kese resto nga confident ñii gis nañ ne lii ñoom Wave lu ñoo nekk di def mu ngi ñëw ndànk-ndànk because am na ñeneen tamit ñu ko gis te ñu ngi koo taxawal kon ma ngi laa wax jërëjëf di wax waa Wave thank you very much. We will continue to join you to make sure that there is fair play and there is justice availed to the people of Kerr Ali. Man nag démba sax man ko wax ak vice président te de man continuer di ko wax te man da bugga naa def sa action beyond an imagination because lii damaa jël kii lawyer bugga naa lawyer ñu help ma on the court verdict, the court ruling, and looking at the prevailing situation ñu isi ko as a matter of a day bi nga xam ne député yëpp dañ ko waxtaanee because law bi jël na ruling te nit ñi gis neen reality bi on the ground and Gambia fii ñun yëpp am nañ yërmande nga judd si réew fit na génne la si réew boobu noonu jaama mu si réew boobu yow bentee mënutoo ñëwaat loolu lu doy waat la te dinaa work ak Wave ñu xool what do we do it waaye ñun yëpp ñu fi toog nañ xam na ne am na lu nekk si biir lu sensitive la lu bara jaay bàyyi xel la te loolu moo tax dina difficult waaye ñu move around that. On behalf of myself and Wave, I say thank you. After the group photo, I want to take a leave.